Presenting Jac Holzman with our second Ahmet Ertegun Award. Here's rock and roll famer from the Doors, John Densmore.
Thank you, thank you. So I brought my security blanket. I think you need to have musical accompaniment to break up the blah blah. So, are you ready? Oh, that's good. Without Jac Holzman, Jim Morrison's lyrics would not be on the tip of the world's tongue. Without Jac Holzman, I wouldn't be here. Well, actually, it's Jac's ears. Jac has great ears. Without Jac Holzman's ears, Ray Manzarek's catchy keyboard licks would not be in your vocabulary. Robbie Krieger's liquid guitar solos. You wouldn't be aware of Judy Collins. Who covered several songs by some unknown songwriters, Joni Mitchell and Leonard Cohen. You wouldn't be aware of Paul Butterfield, Tim Buckley, Arthur Lee and Love, the MC5, the Stooges, Carly Simon, Harry Chapin, and Queen, to name a few. Jac was in the front row at the Newport Folk Festival when Dylan went electric. That's ears. Okay, let's go back in time a little. When Jac started out as a college kid, he was driving around Manhattan on his moped, recording folk groups from the village. And through that schooling of the street, Jac evolved into what Mo Austin called the complete record guy, last of the full-service operators. Electra, by the way, is the Greek demigoddess who presides over the muses. So Jac, in the first decade, did 90% of the work. He did the engineering, he wrote the liner notes, he took the photos, he ran the company, and he paid his artists. Oh. So when we came along, he already had this amazing blues band, Paul Butterfield, and this racially mixed folk rock group, Love. Yeah. Black musicians were playing funk at the time, and here comes Arthur Lee making music like the Byrds. We also respected his sub-label, Nonesuch, which was full of great classical music, and it was really the first world music label. So what did Jac see in us? I think he saw the same thing I did in the Doors. Hello, I love you, won't you tell me now? It was a fusion of rock, day destroys the night, night divides the day, jazz, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, classical, keep your eyes on the road, your hands, the blues, and a touch of flamenco. Ole. On top of that, you had this very poetic dude who looked like Michelangelo's David, Mr. Morrison. Only Jim brought another ingredient: unpredictability. Right in the beginning, Jac believed in us. The day we recorded Light My Fire, we went home and finished our evening, and at 2 in the morning, Jim got up, drove back to the recording studio at Sunset Sound, broke in, and hosed the place down with fire extinguishers. I think he thought our recording of Light My Fire was too hot. Jac graciously paid for the damages and kept it all under wraps, and we hadn't even released anything yet. So that's the kind of commitment here. Jac has a great ear for singles. He's great at sequencing albums. Basically, he loves music. Quoting Timothy White, there was a moment when art intersected with commerce and actually resulted in something transcendental, Elektra Records. So I'm going to leave you with an excerpt from a poem by Jim Morrison and a final note on Jac. It's from American Prayer. Do you know the warm progress under the stars? Do you know we exist? Have you forgotten the keys to the kingdom? Have you been born yet? And are you alive? Let's reinvent the gods, all the myths of the ages, celebrate symbols from deep elder forests. Have you forgotten the lessons of the ancient war? Do you know that we are being led to slaughters by placid admirals and that fat, slow generals are getting obscene on young blood? Wow. I'm sick of doubt. I'm sick of dour faces staring at me from the TV tower. I want roses in my garden bower. Oh, great creator of being, grant us one more hour to perform our art and perfect our lives. Elektra's primary focus was art. Jac's philosophy was when the music was good, the money would follow. So there's no one more qualified to be in the Hall of Fame. Here's the man, Jac Holzman.
Thank you, John, for that sonic animation. I've always wanted this award. First of all, it's named after my friend Ahmet Ertegun. More importantly, it's been given out less than 40 times. And I do admit to having practiced acceptance speeches in the comfort of my shower. But until you get it, until you hold it in your hand and it is real, you have no concept of the glow and the pride and a recognition that goes daily, and this evening, a most special treasure. Thank you, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Ahmet Ertegun was known to say to anyone who wanted advice as to how to get ahead of the business of music, bump into a genius. Well, the genius I bumped into was Ahmet Ertegun. Ahmet's genius lay in his taste, in his style, and in his exquisitely honed instincts. When I was barely 19, I told my parents that I knew my calling in life. I wanted to start my own record label. My father, ever the Jewish doctor, and wondering, as all fathers and mothers do, what would become of me, diagnosed this as life-threatening. So he sent me for a second opinion to a senior executive patient of his who was at Decca Records. The Decca man itemized all the difficulties I would be facing to prove why no independent could make a dent in the near monopoly of the majors. The Decca man was partly right. I didn't know anything, but neither did anyone else back in 1950. The advent of the LP had rebooted the entire technology and business of record making, and the future he saw was refracting through a past prism. What I saw was a wide open road, but you had to take that first step. It's been a long, magical road from then to now. 60 years. And the road beckons still. In those years, what have I learned? For starters, you can get back more records than you sold. And there is no such thing as fixing it in the mix. More important are my personal articles of faith. Take care of the music, and the music will take care of you. Trust yourself. No one knows anything for sure, so just pretend you're right and go forth. Will you make mistakes? Absolutely, but they'll be interesting ones. Ultimately, it's about the singer and the song. Whether you are a singer-songwriter, member of a rock band, or the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, it all boils down to the singer and the song. Supercharge your passion with the firmness of commitment, because from commitment will emerge all sorts of help you never would have imagined. The rock and roll family tree has been nurtured by so many genres in which Electra has sturdy roots. Gene Ritchie's Kentucky Mountain Songs, the blues lived by Josh White and Sonny Terry, Woody Guthrie's Vision of America, Leadbelly, Colonel Ray and Glover pointing to the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, and inevitably to the energy and the wonder that is rock and roll. No one who stands on this stage stands alone. Over the years, you've been joined by talented people who blended their dream with yours, and from Electra's formative years, I would especially like to remember and acknowledge Nina Lamb, to whom I was married for 13 years and who never doubted Electra would find its day in the sun. Mel Posner came to us from the Army, took a temp job packing records, and 20 years later became president of Electra. William S. Harvey joined me at Electra release number 10, and he designed our trademarks, our album covers, our graphic look, and the feel of Electra for 20 years. Mark Abramson, who learned production by doing with results that can still be heard on Judy Collins' greatest and most splendid albums. My brother Keith Holzman, he had us computerized in the mid-60s and made sure that all of the elements of a specific production arrived simultaneously at the right time. Suzanne Helms, who managed Electra West, a remarkable woman and smart enough never to disturb Jim Morrison as he lay passed out in our studio garden. David Anderley, the artistic magnet of Electra West, who seemed unflappable but cared deeply. Danny Field's fanatical belief in the Stooges convinced me to sign them. Without Danny, the glory that is the Stooges would have gone elsewhere. And studio wizard Bruce Botnick, who gave Mark Abramson, Paul Rothchild, and me a crash course in how to make great rock recordings, and then engineered every Doors album. Yes, Bruce. My alter ego, Paul Rothchild. Paul was the Erich von Stroheim of record producers, only minus the monocle and the neck brace. He was tough, but the results were glorious, especially the first 5 Doors albums, and then he topped it all off by doing Janis Joplin's Pearl. 60 years, so much music, so many memories. To those wonderful companions and to the great artists who trusted us with their talent and with their careers, let me end with this simple meditation from Lennon and McCartney. Some are dead and some are living. In my life, I love them all. Good night. Thank you so much. And a special shout out to my family at what was table 31. Thank you. Thank you.